What's up, you all? I'm about to go live on Instagram right now. Let me go live real quick. Okay. Hope y'all are having a great day today. Let me let me see something. Okay. How are you all doing today? Hope folks tune in and check in. Um, uh, I saw this shirt. What's up, Miss Warren? I saw this shirt. What's up, Mika? What's up, Baptized? You got an off day, huh? What's up, fitness instructor Stacy? What's up, you all? Bree, Mr. Joe Fix It, I am K62, Just Caribbean. So basically, the controversial topic is this abortion thing in Roe versus Wade. And I don't really want to talk about, you know, women that have gotten abortions or getting abortions. I just want to talk about the purpose behind abortions. Um, the small text says, Planned Parenthood, we've killed more blacks than the Klan. So this shirt says, Black Lives Matter or Just Matter. Black Lives Matter or Just Matter. Planned Parenthood, we've killed more black babies than the Klan. Um, and the funny thing about this shirt is that Black lives are just matter. And I want you all to think about matter, Black matter, think about antimatter, and think about the mark of the beast, think about antimatter, and think about how this all correlates to eventually getting us to the mark of the beast. All of these agendas that you see being pushed is to get you to a point where you accept the mark of the beast. There will be a mark of the beast, there will be a name of the beast, and there will be a number of the beast. You can see a precursor of this with your driver's license. On your driver's license, you have a seal or symbol, you have a number, and you have your face associated with the actual identification card. So your ID or driver's license is a precursor to the mark of the beast because you won't be identified through God anymore. You'll be identified through Satan. Um, but let me get started. Let me get started real quick. Um, Everybody's talking about the Dave Chappelle, um, Dave Chappelle being attacked on stage. I'm gonna ask you all a question. Attack Dave Chappelle for what? Just think about it. Attack Dave Chappelle for what? Anytime you see something happening in the media, you got to ask yourself why. Attack Dave Chappelle for what? What's the reason? A crazed fan? Dave Chappelle's been doing comedy for 30 some years. So why now would someone choose to just attack Dave Chappelle? And the attack was weak. The attack was weak. It was weak. He didn't even tackle him. He basically, his shoulder hit his leg and he fell on the ground. Like, I don't know, man. I don't buy this stuff. It's a distraction. They got Chris Rock coming on stage. It's a distraction. They got Chris Rock referencing the Will Smith. It's a distraction. It's not real. Why would someone attack Dave Chappelle? For what reason? Give me the reason. Why would you risk physical and bodily harm to yourself, going to jail? Why would a person risk all that to just tackle Dave Chappelle's leg? It just doesn't make any sense. But it's a distraction. It's a distraction. It's not real. I just wanted to say that real quick. Someone said Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, it's a distraction. Johnny Depp getting beat up by his wife, who cares? He's a chump. He's a sucker. Okay, so I really want to talk about the road leak. That's right, the road leak is a distraction. And I want you all to realize that all of this stuff ties into all these agendas, eventually tie into the mark of the beast, and they also tie into us completely taking the rights away from the children. Um, my other page is so basically I made a comment on a page. It was a video on a page of a woman from our community basically saying that white men were better than black men. This is what she was saying. And so I put up statistics. I put up statistics on who white men actually choose to marry outside of white women, and also the statistics, the statistics of our women dating outside of their race. Hold on. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, so basically, I put up a factual statement, right? Someone reported my comment. So what Instagram does is that Instagram, if somebody reports my comment, whether it's bad or not, none of them have ever been bad or offensive or anything. If someone reports my comment, Instagram just disables my live capabilities. So someone in reporting my comments should have my comments disabled for 24 hours. But when it comes to me, if someone reports my comments, they just disable my lives. So now they're telling me I can't even comment on anybody's pages because there's a bunch of sensitive people from my community that go around to these pages, look for my comment and report them, and Instagram just goes ahead and just disables my lives. So, that's where we are. I just want to I just want to hold on. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Okay. Oh, Telegram has a live? Well, I'll start doing that. If Telegram has a live, I know Katie is on here to does the live tutorials on Telegram, but let me get folks on what I want to come in and talk about today. Um, so basically, abortion is all about child sacrifice, and the devil requires a sacrifice. Now, many of you all don't realize this, but Satan, Lucifer, the devil, requires a sacrifice. God requires a sacrifice, but God's sacrifice is obedience. If we go to the scriptures, it says that obedience is greater than sacrifice. So God's sacrifice requirement is obedience. The devil's requirement for sacrifice is blood. These are two different requirements. The devil wants blood, God wants obedience. Now, when it comes to these abortions, the whole purpose of them is for the woman to willingly give up her child, because these fetuses that are aborted are used for all manner of wickedness. So when a woman has an abortion, she's contributing to the beast system, meaning she's giving the beast system her offspring. This is the purpose of abortion. But to make it sound good, they'll tell you that it's about a woman's choice. That way, no one will argue what's being done. No one will argue the fact that a woman is sacrificing her child to the beast system. And we know this because they use the fetuses for all manner of evil and wickedness. This is how we know this. This is what we know. They're not using the fetuses, they're even using the fetuses for jabs. So they're using the fetuses for all manner of evil and wicked. This is what they're using the fetuses for. So when a woman aborts her child, this is not about anyone that's had an abortion or wants to get an abortion. I'm talking about the purpose of the abortion. Everything has a purpose. The purpose of the abortion is to sacrifice the child to the beast system. That is the purpose of it. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care whether they make you think it's Planned Parenthood or something good. I don't care. The purpose, healthcare, something good. The purpose of it is to promote child sacrifice. And I saw someone on here that said that a covenant requires sacrifice. Exactly. So when you get married to your husband or wife, the covenant you make is to give them your life. When you make the covenant with the Most High, the covenant is I'm going to use my life to do the will of the Most High, to serve God. That's what I'm going to do. So any kind of covenant requires a sacrifice. So we notice that having the whole abortion process is for humanity to make a covenant with Satan. This is a binding covenant. And it's funny that my people keep talking about this chosen people stuff, but we lead the charge in abortion. We literally lead the charge in abortion. Who from our community is going against abortion? Who from our community is going against abortion? Who? I see a bunch of people, white people, protesting for us to keep our children. You know, and then to turn around and say, think about the devil. The devil's in the details. The devil's telling you white people are racist. Simultaneously, white people are fighting for you to keep your children. We're talking about an estimated 30 million babies aborted in our community alone since the 70s. That is an entire nation that never existed. And you keep talking about this chosen people stuff, and it's blowing my mind because how are we the chosen people leading the charge in everything demonic and wicked? We must ask ourselves, what are we chosen for? If we're chosen to usher in the Antichrist, I don't want to be a part of it because that's what it's going to lead to. The ushering in of the Antichrist. But let me get to the abortion thing real quick. Let me talk about it. Genesis 3 and 15 says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. I'll read it again. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So this is what was prophesied to Satan by God. So Satan knows that Satan's greatest enemy is the seed of the woman. Now I want you to think from a spiritual standpoint, what is the spiritual consequence for having an abortion? If life is about give and take, if life is about reaping and sowing, if life is about what goes around comes around, if life is about karma, if life is about a cycle, if life is about all these things, what's the spiritual consequence to a woman having an abortion? I'm not casting any judgment. I'm simply asking a question. What is the consequence spiritually for a woman terminating a life? Now, many women will tell you that women can create life, and women will brag about that's what makes women great. Women say we have the power to create life. So it's funny to me that when women have the power to create life, their reaction to that power, their reaction to that responsibility is to then in turn say that it's their right to take the child's life. So when women were given the power or the right or the gift or the blessing to give life, they also chose to take it. To whom much is given, that much more is required. And see, we all think that the things that we have in this world don't come with a consequence, but they do, because life is about balance. So the more you're given in life, the more you're required to be responsible for and accountable for. Okay, so the seed is the greatest enemy to Satan. So in this scripture right here, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So the Satan's greatest enemy first is the woman. Second is the seed. This is why Satan went to Eve. These are his two greatest enemies, the woman and the child. In most relationships, Satan will attack the woman. That's why all the propaganda in this world is mostly feminist. And women don't ever check it because feminism makes women feel good. So most women don't check feminism. And feminism is what leads to abortion. Because they're telling you that it's your right. The whole purpose, the whole push behind abortion is not the child. It's the right of the woman. You see how the devil flipped it? We're talking about the rights of the child in everything else except when it comes to taking the child's life. So now it's on the woman. And when the woman has that power, she's going to say, it's my choice. It's my body. It's my choice. As if her body isn't to be used for what the Most High wants it to be used for. As if her body doesn't have a purpose. It's my body, my choice. It's feminism. Me, me, me. This is why I say that we shouldn't be having sex. We shouldn't be having sex. And this is why. Because fornication leads to abortion. Fornication leads to abortion. 99% of abortions are done through inconvenience. The Roe v. Wade whole case started with she didn't want to have a third child. Look how detailed the devil is. Look at how 3 is a righteous number. Mind, body, spirit. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Morning, noon, and night. First trimester, third trimester, first, second, and third trimesters or semesters when pregnancy. Everything is split up into 3s. Everything is split up into 3s. So conveniently, on her third child, she wanted to abort it, and you all don't think it's all planned and strategic. You all think she just woke up one day and just said, you know what? I don't want my third child. You know what? On the third day, I won't rise. 3 is a righteous number. So on her third child, she said, I don't want the child. How convenient. How convenient on the third child. You know why? Because it was all planned. It was all strategic because they wanted you to get to a point where you would fight to take a child's life. That's where we are. Roe v. Wade was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. We're just going through the past 2 years of the government telling people what they can and can't do. Basically, what you can't do. But in the Roe v. Roe versus Wade case, the government is saying, oh, let's just do hands off. Isn't it convenient for the government to be hands off when it came to abortion, but hands on when it comes to the jab? How convenient. How convenient to be hands off with abortion, but hands on with the snake bite. And nobody seems to think this is a setup. What's up, Mimi? Nobody seems to think this is a setup. Someone said even the angels are split into a third. 3 is a righteous number. So a third of the angels went against God. 3 is a righteous number. On her third child, she said, I don't want the child. I want to get an abortion. On her third child. This stuff has been planned since the beginning because they have to get you to consent to this evil and this wickedness. That's the only way it works, is that you have to choose, because in this realm of existence, it's all about choice. It's all about choice. Now, someone's going to say, well, what about Abraham? Didn't God want Abraham to sacrifice his son? Let's get to it. Didn't God want Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? Let's get to it. Then, on a third day, 3 again, then on a third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. Okay, pay attention. Pay attention. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, my father, he said, here I am, my son. And he said, behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? So Isaac is like, we're setting everything up for the burnt offering, but there isn't any lambs. And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. Pay attention. And they came to the place which God had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. So now Isaac is tied up on the wood, probably confused, like what's going on? And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seest thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. You see, the beautiful thing about God is that God is going to qualify you. God qualifies us so no person has the right to take anything from us. So God makes us meet a requirement. That way it's justified when God gives us what God gives us. I'm gonna say it again. God makes sure that we're qualified to get what we get, because that is what? That is righteous. A person should be qualified to get something, meaning they should have earned the right to have it, because God's all about character. Now, what makes this story so unique is that 2 times in these scriptures, Abraham says that God is going to not have him sacrifice his son. Okay, how do we know this? Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship and come again to you. So Abraham already said that my son and I are coming back. So y'all wait here. So that means Abraham already knew he was not going to have to sacrifice his son. Let's go again. And Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. So 2 times Abraham has said that not only are me and my son going to return to you all, but also God's going to provide the lamb for the sacrifice. Now, Abraham knew this. Now, everybody's talking about, well, what about God wanting to sacrifice Abraham's son? So how did Abraham know and y'all didn't know? If y'all reading what Abraham said. Abraham was very clear in saying that he was not going to have to sacrifice his son. You know why? Because God wouldn't have him sacrifice his son. That's why the Bible says that what? What's the lesson here? The lesson is that obedience is greater than sacrifice. That's the lesson. So the lesson is stop fornicating and you won't have an abortion issue. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. So if you're obedient to stop fornicating before you get married, then you won't have to worry about Roe v. or Roe versus Wade. If Abraham had enough sense to know that there ain't no way in the world God's going to have me sacrifice my son, it ain't no way. So I'm going to have faith that God's going to provide, and God did. Because God wants us to be obedient. God don't need you to sacrifice. All throughout the Old Testament, they was killing animals. You know why? Because they didn't have enough sense to just be obedient. So what they was doing was they was killing the animals. And God said, you know what? The animals are innocent. Y'all doing too much. So you know what we're going to do? I'm going to make the ultimate sacrifice. I'm going to make the ultimate sacrifice. So now there's no excuse for sacrifices. You don't need to sacrifice no more. Just be obedient. Now, here we go years later in the future. Now we got Roe versus Wade. And they're asking women to sacrifice their children. Many women were pregnant and didn't want to have a child. But it was nothing they could do to stop the child from coming aside doing something that was wicked and evil. A woman would have to hurt herself to get rid of the child. A woman would have to start hurting herself to get rid of the child. They already did the studies and they said that the child in these certain, when people had these abortions, the child can feel it. So I'm just letting y'all know the child can feel it. So they're telling you it's, you notice they don't ever say it's painless. Notice they never talk about what the child goes through during an actual abortion. The child can feel it. So the child can feel its body being torn apart. The child can feel it. So at the end of the day, they're trying to make something that is the foundation of everything wicked on the planet. And I'm going to tell you why. If we have abortion on the table, everything else is good. Think about what I'm telling you. If people would go out there and fight for abortion, how would they go out there and then fight against pedophilia? Think about it. How would a person fight for abortion, which is the murder of a child, and then turn around and fight against pedophilia? They're not. Because everything else on the world pales in comparison to an innocent child's life being taken. So as long as we have abortion, everything else we see is going to fly. Everything else we see in the world is going to fly simply because of abortion. Because there's no more egregious act that we can think of than taking the life of a child. That's probably the worst thing that we could think of doing on the planet. And we have literally everybody fighting to do it. We have women around the world celebrating abortion. Even if you have an abortion, you think you should be celebrating it though? Even if you have an abortion, even if you believe in my body by choice, why would a person celebrate an abortion? That sounds like people in a crowd cheering as people bring their children to sacrifice to the false gods. Imagine children being sacrificed to the false gods, the people in the crowd cheering and shouting, celebrating. That's what it sounds like. There is nothing new under the sun, nothing. So you got a bunch of people fighting to abort these children, fighting. And it's all connected. It's all connected. Now you have a Planned Parenthood symbol. You all on YouTube can't see it, but there's a Planned Parenthood symbol with the rainbow. It has the black fist portion of it, it has the trans portion of it, and it has the rainbow portion of it. So Planned Parenthood and the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and me, don't forget X, Y, and Z community are synonymous with each other. They're connected. The Planned Parenthood agenda and the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z agenda is connected. So in other words, if we're aborting children, then we're already devaluing the life of the child. And if a man is a woman and a man can get pregnant and a man can have a child, then we've already pretty much just rearranged everything that God created with two movements, abortion and the LGBTQ movement. These two movements literally have just destroyed everything God has done. I'm gonna go to this scripture real quick and then come right back. How do we know this? We know this because this scripture says, I thought I had it right here. I don't know where it is. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Here we go. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So this was God's actually first commandment to man and woman, is to be fruitful and to multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it. This was God's original decree to us. For us, this was our charge in the world, to go be fruitful. These are the fruits of the Spirit. Go be a great person. Go build, and then go multiply. Reproduce yourself. Replenish the earth. Whatever you take, put back. So if you use some, plant a seed, and then subdue it. Cultivate it. This is what God originally intended for us to do. This was God's original thing. And so now what they've done to you all is they deceived you. Because to get an abortion, you have to go to man. To get an abortion, you have to go to man. For a man to have a child, he has to go to man. So essentially, what these two movements have done is they've removed God. This is the purpose of abortion. This is the purpose of the LGBTQ, don't forget X, Y, Z movement. It's to remove God, because it's going to boil down to you having to go to man to reproduce and to pick your gender. Now, if the federal government has control over abortion, then that means they're going to control who's able to have an abortion. That means a woman may not want to have an abortion, but the federal government says you have to do it. Or the federal government says you can't do it. But we can all agree if the federal government, if the federal government is controlling abortion, we know it's going to be a bad thing. Because we've already seen the past 2 years what the federal government likes to do. You see, these past 2 years are giving us a very good indication of what it looks like when the government has full control. And we can see it's not very good. There's a great quote by Ronald Reagan, and they're going to tell you that Ronald Reagan is racist, so you don't listen to him. They're going to say Ronald Reagan is racist, don't listen to him. But he actually had a good quote. And keep in the back of your mind, just keep thinking, obedience is greater than sacrifice. Just keep telling yourself that every day. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. Tell yourself that. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. If I'm obedient, I don't have to sacrifice.
I should have a respect for innocent life. With regard to the freedom of the individual for choice with regard to abortion, there's one individual who's not being considered at all. That's the one who's being aborted. And I've noticed that everybody that is for abortion has already been born.
Everybody for abortion has the privilege of being already born. Everybody that's pro-abortion has the privilege of already being born. Now, I'm going to say this. That's a great quote by Ronald Reagan, but they're going to tell you he's racist and he's all. So I'm just telling you, it's a great quote. What I'm saying is, as a man, I don't have the burden of making a decision whether or not to keep a child. That is a woman's choice to make, right? At the same time, if I fornicated with the woman to produce the child, then I'm still at fault. If I fornicated with the woman and got her pregnant, then I'm still at fault because I shouldn't have been getting pregnant, a woman pregnant that would have an abortion if I was against abortions. This is why y'all shouldn't be having sex. Because when you sleep with somebody, that person you're sleeping with may be compromising your principles and what you believe in. You see, you may believe in some things in life and have some hard stances on things, but the person that you're sleeping with doesn't. So if you're really against abortion, you probably shouldn't be sleeping with a woman that would have an abortion. This is for the men. Now, as a man, if I say I want her to keep the child, a woman's going to tell me it's not my right. It's not your choice. So men, just know if you want her to keep the child and she doesn't, there's nothing you can do. But if you don't want her to have the child and she does, there's nothing you can do. So fellas, it's best for you all to stop fornicating with these women. Because when you fornicate with them and they're pregnant, they got all the leverage. And I was taught an all leverage situation is never good. So if you don't want to have an abortion or the woman to have an abortion, stop fornicating. Because I can guarantee when it comes to that child, you're not going to have any say so. Whether you want to keep it or don't want to keep it, you're not going to have any say so. And guess what? When the child comes, you're going to be responsible. You're not going to have any say so. So since all the burden is on the man, I suggest you all don't sleep with the woman. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. So many of men right now that's paying that child support wishing they wouldn't have slept with that woman. I'm telling y'all to cut the middleman out and just don't sleep with the woman. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. That's why they want y'all to sacrifice the children. And somebody mentioned earlier that the sacrifice is binds the covenant. That's why they want you to take a blood oath and all this stuff. They want the blood. The blood is the binding. That's why Christ's blood was shed, because that's what binds. The sacrifice. So the whole purpose of these agendas is to literally erase God. The devil's very crafty and very smart. The devil bypassed all of the scriptures and just went to the first one. We fighting over all these scriptures. We fighting over books, Old Testament, New Testament, Black Jesus, woke Jesus, Yahushua, Jesus. We fighting over all this stuff. Hebrew, Greek, Roman. We fighting over all this stuff. And while we fighting in the smoke and the dust, the devil done crept around and went to the front and said, And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it. You know what? I got something for that. Now we're dealing with abortion. Now we're dealing with LGBTQ community. Now we're dealing with climate change. The devil then went through the back door and got God's original plan and took it down in 3 movements that everybody gonna champion. Abortion, everybody gonna fight for it. Trans and gay rights, everybody gonna fight for it. Climate change, everybody gonna fight for it. Those 3 things literally go against the first commandments that God gave man and woman. Look how the devil was slick and crafty. He got us fighting over nonsense, and he done went right to the source. If I was in church, y'all would have walked out. If I was in church, y'all would have walked out. Abortion is health care. This is Satan. Miley Cyrus is on a picture. I'm gonna show you all. Miley Cyrus is licking a birthday cake. Look at how demonic and satanic this is. Birthday symbolizes what? A child's been born. Look how the devil mocks you. A birthday means a child's been born. She's licking a cake saying abortion is health care. So she's mocking you. They're mocking you. They're licking a birthday cake. The child hasn't been born. And you think these people are good? They're evil and wicked. They're evil and wicked. There are 1,000 abortions a day in our community, and y'all would never call Miley Cyrus racist. There are over 1,000 abortions a day in our community, and y'all would never call Miley Cyrus racist for promoting abortion. Isn't that racist? Isn't it racist for some white people to promote abortion when we are the leaders in abortion? Isn't it racist for some white people to promote abortion when we are the leaders in abortion? An estimated almost 30 million babies in our community has been aborted since the 70s. Is it racist for some white people to take to the streets and fight harder than they did for racism, to fight harder than they did against Donald Trump, to fight harder than they did for any other cause? They're going to fight the hardest for abortion. And abortion is the #1 killer of our people. You think the devil's not in the details? You think the devil is not in the details? These folks are fighting for you to kill your child. These are white people fighting. These are the same white people that tried to convince you that Trump was racist. Those same white people that for 4 years told you Trump was bad and racist are the same white people taking to the streets fighting for you to abort a child. And y'all will never call them racist. And y'all will never call them racist. They tell you that white women have more abortions. Yeah, it's because it's more white women. But when we get down to percentages, when we talk about context, contextually, we are like 5, 6, 7 times more likely to have an abortion. And we're 12 to 13% of the population. You see, when they spit all this stuff out to you all, they never give you context. Because context means that to tell the truth. Context takes away the emotion. I said context takes away the emotions. You got a bunch of white liberals about to fight harder than they fought for anything else ever in the history of this world. They about to fight for you to abort your child. And not one time will anybody get on a wide platform and say that's racist. Somebody said, I feel like 13% has been 13% to the 90s. Here goes the harsh reality about our community. We die the most from everything. Go look up death when it comes to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, homicide, abortion. Go look up the death rates, and we die the most from everything. And you'll sit back and tell me, oh, it's because we're cursed. Really? Oh, it's because we cursed. We good. We the chosen people. We good. We just dying from everything because we cursed. We'll be all right, though. The chosen people choose God. And the only way to be cursed is to live a cursed existence. God already said that obedience is greater than sacrifice. So if a person was obedient, then how could they be cursed? So you're only cursed due to your behavior, meaning your lifestyle and what you do contributes to cursed behavior. So if you support a political party, that is pushing for a 9-month full-term abortion, even 28 days after the child is conceived, if you support a party that does that, then you're going to be cursed. That's not God cursing you. That's not the party cursing you. That's you cursing yourself. So what you all are doing is you're using the curse as an excuse to be reckless, wicked, and foolish, as to say, this is only happening because we're cursed. So in other words, my behavior won't contribute to or take away from the being cursed. So in other words, I can do what I want to do. Satan got you. Satan got you both ways. Satan got you with abortion. Satan got you with these agendas. Satan got you with everything. Because Satan convinced you that he didn't exist. And so as long as the devil doesn't exist, you'll never be fully accountable for your actions. If the devil doesn't exist, then that means all the stuff they're doing isn't really that bad. If the devil doesn't exist, that means that everything they're doing could be for our good. The devil got you both ways. Now, remember what I said, that Planned Parenthood abortion is linked to the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community. Now, I've already showed you that the Planned Parenthood flag symbol matches the symbol that has the LGBT, the gay, the trans, and the Black Power fist in it. That's Planned Parenthood. So they're both connected. They're in cahoots with each other. I said they're in cahoots with each other. And this is not about our community having abortions. This is about abortion, period, for any woman. There's an agenda behind it. But if the devil isn't real, then you assume the agenda is good. This is why we have to bring up Satan in all conversations, because that puts in perspective what these folks are doing. Oh, that's just allegory. The Bible is just telling stories. It's just folklore. It's not real. It's not real. It's just a way to, just like a guide. See, if the Bible is just a guide and it's just folklore and it's just nostalgia and it's just tradition, it's just man-made, and guess what? You don't have to be accountable. None of these new age religions, these new age philosophies or beliefs deal with personal accountability. It's all about how you feel with the cosmos, how the moon make you feel, how the sun make you feel, how your chakras all lined up. Half y'all missing y'all chakras anyway, so you can't line them up anyway. How your chakras is lined up, how them crystals vibrate, your vibrations, your energy, your frequency. Ain't no accountability. Because all I hear in all that is, I can do what I want to do. All that celestial, cosmic, I'm one with the nature, one with the earth, and I'm a God, and all that says to me is, I don't have to be accountable. That's all it says. I don't have to be accountable. None of them folks ever talk about accountability. But this picture is for, so this says that trans, can you see it? This says that trans and non-binary people have abortions. Abortion isn't just women's health. So now you see, so now they done got abortion. Oh, it's not just for women. Now keep in mind, as a man, most of the time, I can't even speak on abortion, right? As a man, most of the time, I can't even speak on abortion. But now they're saying trans and non-binary people have abortions. So now, look how they let men speak for abortions. Look how they're letting men talk about abortions. And y'all don't think it's a setup. I can't talk about it, but a transformer can talk about it. I can't talk about it, but a transformer can talk about it. Abortion isn't just for women's health. Abortion isn't just women's health care. It's for trans and non-binary too. So I can't speak on abortion, but the transformers can. Look how, ain't the devil slick? Ain't the devil so slick and crafty? Look how slick the devil is. Everybody fighting for abortion, they don't even realize what they fighting for. They fighting that women gonna say, my body, my choice, all the way up until it's not your body and not your choice. Women are gonna fight tooth and nail to say it's my body, my choice, all the way up until they tell you it's not your body and it's not your choice. Just like they told you when it came to this snake bite, this Jim Jones juice, it's not your body and it's not your choice. They told you the same, they're going to tell you the same thing when it comes to your womb. We've already seen this happen with China. China said you can only have one child. And if we catch you having another child, we're going to take the child from you. China was going in there, taking the women's babies out the womb. I said China was going in there, taking the women's babies out the womb. None of them feminists said anything about China. None of them pro-rights people say anything to China. Nobody talking about abortion ever held China accountable for what they did all them years. Them people in China could only have one child. So if they had a girl, they were throwing the children away. Listen to me, not aborting the children. They was throwing the baby crying in the trash like it was nothing. And y'all think you're not going to pay for being out here fighting to abort a child? Do y'all think there's no spiritual consequence for people throwing their children in the trash? alive. I saw a documentary and the man was in there talking, and the man said he took the baby to the butcher shop and set the child on the counter. He watched for 3 days. Then we hear three again. He watched for 3 days. He said that baby cried for 3 days. Then it stopped crying. He said, and nobody touched or grabbed the child. This is in our modern times. In the world we live in today, this man set his child, a baby girl, in a butcher shop, and nobody grabbed the child. The child died in front of everybody as they were selling meat. And you think abortion is not going to lead to that? If we got the trans community saying they can talk about abortion now too, you think it's not going to get to where China is? They want y'all to have the child and then sacrifice it. That's what they want. That's why China is leading the way for the beast system, because they already made the covenant. That's why China is leading the way for the beast system, because China already made the covenant. They literally got their child and threw it away. Then the government got involved and they started taking, first, the adoption agency had a big push. There's a big push for Asian babies. And so the adoption agency was paying people $45 per baby. So folks was going around the city digging through the trash to find the children, take them to the adoption agency for $45. $45 they were taking the children and being adopted for $10,000 to $30,000. Then when the government figured out what was happening, the government took over and just started taking the babies and selling them. This is what abortion is going to lead to. This is the purpose of abortion. It's for you to make the blood sacrifice with Satan, to bind the covenant with Satan. So when it comes to the mark of the beast, you're going to take it. If you support abortion, you're going to take the mark of the beast, because they're all from the same system. It's the same thing. They all got the same goal in mind. If you believe in climate change, you're going to get the mark of the beast. If you believe in this Peter pandemic, you'll get the mark of the beast. If you believe a man is a woman and a woman is a man, if you believe a man can have a cycle and a period, and a man can get pregnant, you're going to get the mark of the beast. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So when we talk about these things, nobody ever want to give y'all the context, because the context removes the emotion. They just saying my body, my choice as a mantra, as a chant. They're not saying covenant with Satan. They're not saying covenant with Satan. They're not saying Baal, Lucifer, and Moloch. That's the real BLM. This is what BLM really stands for. Baal, Lucifer, and Moloch. This is what BLM really stands for. This is Black Lives Matter. BLM, Baal, Lucifer, and Moloch. This is what it stands for. And when I talk about this and people come against this, it's only because they've already made the covenant with Satan. Many of you all have already gotten the mark of the beast. You've already gotten it. You just don't know it yet. You've already gotten it because you got it up in here, in your heart. You already got it. I'm going to let y'all know how powerful blood is. All these Hollywood people on that adrenochrome. That's how powerful blood is. But not just any blood. It got to be innocent blood. not, not just any blood. It got to be innocent blood. Y'all understand what I'm telling y'all? The blood got to be innocent. Innocent blood. That's the only blood that will suffice. Innocent blood. That's why they was sacrificing the animals, because the animals is innocent. You got to have innocent blood. That's why when Cain killed his brother, brother was innocent. You got to have innocent blood. Yeshua died, got to be innocent blood. Those children being aborted, it has to be innocent blood. Read the scripture for y'all real quick. This is how powerful blood is. And Cain talked with his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? Now, in the scriptures, when God is asking a question, it's rhetorical. And honestly, the way God asks rhetorical questions, you all should ask rhetorical questions as well. There's no question that you all should ask that you don't know the answer to. Because if you ask a question and you don't know the answer, then someone can give you an answer and deceive you. So at the core of all your questions, they should be rhetorical. I know it sounds crazy what I'm saying, but when God asks a question, it's rhetorical. God said, where your brother at? Where your brother? Am I my brother's keeper? I don't know where he at. I don't know where he at. Then God said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. The voice of thy brother's blood crieth to me, unto me from the ground. That's how powerful innocent blood is, that it speaks to God. That's how powerful innocent blood is, that it speaks to God. So do you think there's a spiritual consequence to getting an abortion? I'm asking the question. If innocent blood speaks directly to God, if it cries out to God, not just speaks to God, let me read it again so y'all won't say I'm making it up. The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. So that means in our community, we almost have as many aborted babies crying to God as we do people. And if we look at the whole picture, there's over 60 million abortions that have taken place. That's 60 million babies crying to God. So I'm asking y'all a question. If God got to choose between the baby's blood crying or your raggedy prayer, what do you think God is going to choose? If God got to pick between your raggedy, selfish prayer about what you want in this world and them babies crying out to God, what do you think God is going to honor? Them innocent babies crying or your raggedy prayers? We all know the answer to it. We all know the answer to it. This is why I say that you all shouldn't be having sex. This is why I say we shouldn't be having sex. This is why I stopped having sex, because I realize it's bigger than me. It's bigger than Nino Brown. It's bigger than Nino Brown. It's bigger than me. Because me having sex potentially leads to me having a child that child being aborted and that child's blood crying out to the Most High. And what do you think? And what do you think the child's cry is going to say? Do you think the child's cry is going to say Blanchard was an honorable man? Do you think the child's cry is going to say Blanchard is a good man? Do you think the child's cry is going to say spare Blanchard? Please spare him, Lord. He didn't know what he was doing. No. That child's cry is going to scream out, we want justice. And the child deserves justice because the child is innocent. That's why the child deserves justice, because the child is innocent. Abortion is health care. So they got Planned Parenthood, abortion is health care, my body, my choice. They talking about all this stuff, but they're not talking about the spiritual consequence of doing it. How ironic. They done made abortion about everything except the child. This is the devil. This is what Satan does. And everybody wake up every day and they so assured the devil ain't got them. Yes, the devil does got you. The devil been had you. And the devil got you because you confused, because your mind ain't made up. God is not the author of confusion, but there is an author of confusion. And if it's not God, we know who it is. So anytime we see confusion present, we know who's there. That's why the whole LGBTQ, don't forget XYZ movement has to be of the devil, because it's confusion. It's confusion. They can't even explain it. They spend all their energy on getting you to conform to it, but they can't explain it. All their energy is to you to do, for you to change, for you to accept it, because they can't explain it. You ask them 3 questions, they have a shutdown and a meltdown. Because you know why? Because God's not the author of confusion. And we all know that a man can't have a child. And they want you to debate that. Even deeper than wanting you to debate that, they want you to agree with it. Because under natural law, if you agree to it, you're going to suffer the same consequence. You see, all this is about all this wickedness being done and you consenting to it so you can get the same punishment everybody else is getting. These folks don't care about dying. They don't care about dying. They just don't want to die alone. They don't care about dying. They just don't want to die alone. These folks don't care about not honoring God or not being obedient or sinning. They don't care about that. They just don't want to do it alone. That's why all of the propaganda is for you to change. They're confused by it. Person gonna be bi on Monday, gay on Tuesday, trans on Wednesday, non-binary on Thursday, pan on Friday, bestiality on Saturday, and then heterosexual on Sunday. And you think that's not confusion. And you think that's not confusion. That is utter and pure confusion in its purest form. They're telling you it's my body, my choice, but only when it comes to you taking the choice away from a child. It's confusion. They're telling you my body, my choice, but not when it comes to the snake bite. It's confusion. It's utter confusion. God is not the author of confusion. Satan is. God deals in decency and in order. God is about order. God is about structure. God is about order. God is about structure. God is about balance. God is about peace. God is about harmony. And most of all, God is about love. That is not what these movements and agenda are about at all. They're all about wickedness. They're all about destruction. But they sum it all up and just say abortion is healthcare. Just that simple. No spiritual consequence, no emotional consequence, no mental consequence. what women go through after they have abortions, how bad they feel about themselves, how low their self-esteem drops, how low they feel their self-worth drops, how tormented they are, how sad they are, how depressed they are. Nobody talks about all this stuff from abortion. Just like nobody talks about them folks getting that sex change operation when they cut their meat off. You want eggs and sausage? No, just give me the eggs. When they cut their meat off, how high the suicide rate is. When the penis is gone, what that does to that man psychologically, mentally, physically, spiritually. It's a consequence. They don't even mention that. They don't make them fake vaginas to have sex. They want you to look in the mirror and see a raggedy vagina and think you a woman. They don't make it to have sex, though. It's not a vagina. That's folded skin. It's not a vagina. They don't even make the vagina to have sex. So the man will sit there and try to have regular sex with the fake vagina, and it literally probably feel like he literally getting stabbed in his organs, literally. They don't talk about the consequence of these things. They don't talk about it. They don't. Somebody said the roast beef curtains. Somebody said them Arby cheddar melts, them roast beef curtains. Right. It's deception, you all. The devil was very clever. The devil was so clever that the devil has convinced you that he doesn't even exist. And so now you think that all these movements can be taken at face value. Everybody was so sure that Black Lives Matter was a great organization. And how did that turn out? Everybody was so sure that Planned Parenthood was so great. How did it turn out? This is what Satan does. It was such a good idea in Eve's head to take the fruit. At the time, it seemed like a great idea. All the devil did was give y'all the first glimpse into feminism. The devil told Eve, you could be like God. And she was like, I know. And then she ate it. So all feminism is at its core is ego. It's feminine ego. Adam, so simple-minded, so feeble and simple-minded, he knew all this and still ate the fruit. So he was the dumb one. It wasn't even he. Adam was the dumb one. The downfall of man didn't come from a woman. The downfall of man came from man because he lacked character. The downfall of man didn't come from Eve. It came from man because he lacked character. He know good and well he wasn't supposed to eat the fruit. But deep down inside, Adam always wanted to eat the fruit. He just wanted a good excuse. And he had a good excuse. If Eve gave it to me, I can't really be held accountable. That's the downfall of man. Man is the lack of character, not want to be accountable, not want to be responsible. That's the downfall of man. It wasn't woman. So all this stuff is going on today because men bit that fruit. When we should have said, God said, don't eat the fruit, get away from me. Because the Bible said it's not good to tempt the Lord. It's not good to tempt a man. So a man only falls to temptation because deep down inside, he wants what he's being tempted by. So if any of y'all want to see the devil, if you really want to see the devil, see how the devil looks, go look in the mirror. Now, if I was in church, y'all would have left. I would have had one person in the church. That probably would have been the janitor because he got to stay to clean up. Y'all would have been left. I said, if you really want to see how the devil looks, just look in the mirror because the devil knows what you want. The devil knows what your heart desires. So the devil going to use that. Ain't going to be nothing new. The devil knows what you want. So whatever the devil has for you is something that you want. So check yourself. So you want to see the devil, just look in the mirror because he got something for you and it's you. So at the end of the day, we have to understand that everything we do has a consequence. Duncan said, guard the door. That's right. Ushers, guard the doors. I'm going to post it, Katie. Ushers, guard the doors. You know, that offering plate go around. See, in them old school churches, when the offering plate go around, they say ushers guard the door because some of y'all was foolish enough to snatch that plate and try to run. Now, you ain't never, now, the guy that rushed to Dave Chappelle stage, he got a beat down. Try to run off with that collection plate and see what happened to you. You're going to be a sacrifice. They're going to make you a sacrificial lamb. Try to run off with that offering and tithe money and see what happens. Everybody going to be whooping on you, including the pastor. Because that means taking his cut too, including the pastor. Abortion is health care. Abortion is health care. And at the end of the day, abortion is sacrifice. And that sacrifice binds us to Satan. I'm not judging any woman that's had an abortion. I'm honestly not. Because I know that many people are deceived by a lot of stuff that goes on. I was deceived. I just told y'all a couple of years ago, I had Obama on my refrigerator, the whole family. I had the whole first family on there, proud. Proud of Obama. But an old pimp told me, if you knew better, you would do better. So in other words, when we know better, we got to do better. So I'm not judging anybody that has an abortion or even wants to get an abortion. I'm just telling you that the abortion is making a covenant with this beast system because Satan requires a sacrifice. And so Roe versus Wade, I'm going to end on this. Oh yeah, this is another Planned Parenthood symbol. You see we got Planned Parenthood again with the rainbow flag again. So we don't have to make it all deep. We know that Planned Parenthood is very much linked with the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z community. So why would Planned Parenthood have anything to do with the LGBTQP, don't forget the X, Y, Z community? And I'll tell you why, because they all serve the same purpose. They all serve the same purpose. If we can get you to say that a man is a woman, then we can get you to say that a child is not even a life. It's not even a human. It's not nothing. Then I can also come back and say, once the child is born, now that child is an adult. All this is just perversion. All this is just a way for Satan to do all this. It's all, Satan is a master of deception. But they can really only get you because you're emotionally tied to what this world has to offer. If a person ain't, you can't save your life. You can't save your life. You can't save your life. %80 of people in America want abortion to remain legal. You know why? Because most people, and I'm going to end on this, most people have a double mind. Most people are double-minded, meaning that most people have two ideas in their head and they hop back and forth between both of them. So they never really get hot and they never really get cold. They kind of stay lukewarm. Most people's mindset is an abominable one because the Bible says we are not to be lukewarm. Being lukewarm is an abomination. You need to be hot, you need to be cold. But being lukewarm is what most people are. Most folks are double-minded. And so most people say, I don't agree with abortion, but they want the option. That's being double-minded. Because if push comes to shove, I'm going to use that option to abort the child. This is what I mean by talking about conviction. All this new age spiritual stuff don't have no conviction. anything goes. They want to discredit everything the Bible says. You know why? Because once the Bible is gone, you're going to have Book of Eli. Once the Bible's not around, you're going to have Book of Eli. The Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee. So if you want to solve the abortion problem, then stop having sex. Because that's really the issue of it. You want to have sex, you want to have raw sex, and you want to ejaculate in the vagina. And you want him to ejaculate in the vagina. That is how 99.99% of pregnancies happen, is an intentional shooting up of the club. Intentional on purpose. Elizabeth Warren had a meltdown over these people. Do y'all realize that these people are going to fight for just the thought of abortion ending? And this is not going to stop abortion. This has nothing to do with stopping abortion. This has everything to do with, is it up to the states to do it? Is it up to the federal government to do it? That's what it's about. It's not even about abortion, but just the thought of abortion not being legal has people taking to the streets and willing to fight. And you ask yourself, at the end of the day, what are they fighting for? And I'll tell you, they're just fighting to make the blood oath with Satan. I love you all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And if I got any advice for anybody, is to, when you go to bed tonight and say your prayers, talk with God about what your non-negotiables are. Make some promises to God. Tell God, you know what, God, I'm not going to do this. Make a covenant. Make your own covenant with God. Start setting your own boundaries in your life. Talk to God and say, you know what, God, I'm not going to do A, B, C, and D because I'm going to honor you. Start talking to God like that. Y'all always begging and asking God for something. Y'all be praying to get your edges back, praying to get your hairline back. Talk to God and promise, make a covenant with God about what you're going to do, what you're not going to do in this wicked world, how you're not going to be tied to this world system. Be bold and courageous. Honor yourself in front of God and say, God, I'm not going to do this no more. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to support this. Y'all are always begging God. Go to the throne boldly. Stop begging. And for the love of God, stop doing something that's going to tie you to a covenant with Satan. I love y'all and thank y'all so much. And I will be posting this live on the He is Free Blanche page. Thank y'all so much. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much on YouTube. Thank y'all so much too. I love y'all and hope y'all have a great day as well. Chuck Schumer. It's an abomination over. Listen, somebody said, "What's my cash app?" My cash app is I ain't gonna stop no blessing now. Let's just guard the door. My cash app is Free Blanche. I put it in the comments. It's Free Blanche, $ Free Blanche. But I ain't gonna stop no blessing. But I thank y'all so much for tuning in. And this message was not in any way designed to condemn anyone that's had an abortion. I'm just simply saying that everything we do has a purpose, and every agenda that they push has a purpose. And there's a reason behind abortion. And the main reason is for that blood covenant with Satan. That's what it's for. I love y'all and thank y'all so much.